Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Leighton's Two Strokes. In this particular video I'm going to run you through how you can actually identify the differences between the original parts and the aftermarket parts on the early Yamaha Fs1e drum brake models. In future videos I will be covering the DXs and other models, but for this particular video we're just going to concentrate on the early drum 394s with absolutely loads to go through. Let's crack on with the video. So starting off with the seat, and if you notice on the actual cover itself, on this logo, on the Y, we've always got it wider on the left hand side than we have on the right hand side. Exactly the same with the A, but on the left hand side it's narrower, the right hand side it goes wider. If you notice on the M, it comes down to a nice pronounced point. So that's one way of telling an original cover. On the inside on the cover, we're always going to be finished on the inside with that nice stitched edge. So that's the sort of finish you always get on these original covers. So that certainly shows that it's an original seat. Because it's an early drum brake seat, it would have had these rubber cushions that sit on top of the frame. If it's a DX seat, which has got a different tank, you've got the front bracket, which sits into the frame. So that was a modification from Yamaha. The base itself is exactly the same from one to the other. So the differences between the two are only in the bracket. But that is basically what an original early seat base is going to look like. So as far as the tank's concerned, the actual cap itself, look for the Yamaha tuning forks. These are produced by Yamaha. No changes in these throughout the models. They're all exactly the same. So that's what we're looking for as regards to a genuine one. No real aftermarket ones even made, so nothing to be concerned about there. As far as the tank badges are concerned, and I'll just take you in to have a quick look at those. So for example, on the left hand side of the Y, it's slightly wider than the right hand side. On the A, it's slightly wider on the right hand side than it is the left, exactly the same as the seat. And if I just take you down to this new old stock one, so we'll look on the back and you'll see that little dot there. That's the injection mold dot. So it'll always have that on the right hand side when you flip it to the back. That's one way of telling. So this is an early original tap. So if I take you in, you'll see that TK logo just on the left hand side there. So if we zoom back, and then we'll just take a look at the front of that. So that's the look of the early original taps themselves. So moving on to the original mudguards, and we'll start with this rear mudguard. So if I just take you in there, we can have a sneaky peek onto the top. So what we're looking at is this wire tunnel. On an original one, you'll end up with 6 spot welds. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you'll have those 6 spot welds, which I can show you there. And also, if you look just inside, you've got these support brackets, one either side, which are supporting this bracket here. So you've got one support either side. Also, on the original mudguards, you'll always have this inner support bracket just there. You won't find that on the pattern mudguards, just the genuine ones. So moving on to the front mudguards. So here's an original front mudguard. You notice they've got the holes at the front to take the number plate holder. On the underside, you will have the spot welded washers that you can see there that I'm pointing to. Exactly the same on the front, and you'll notice the way on the front the bracket sort of comes around, and then the washer's been sort of cut down to accommodate it. If you look at the way the original spot welds were on these brackets as well, and take note of those spot welds at the back, but you get a nice profile to the mudguard, a nice edge. The pattern ones tend to be a lot wider. They don't fit the wheel in quite the same way, and the spot welds will all be completely different. So next up, we'll have a little look at the original exhaust, and for this I've got one all ready to show you. So one of the main things that you'll notice, this seam on original exhaust, that's always going to sit up nice at 12 o'clock. So it sits up in a nice vertical position. The pattern ones will sit sort of round here. So the seams always look sort of 1 o'clock, 1:30. Another way to tell an original exhaust from a pattern exhaust, if we take a look down at these brackets here, I'll just zoom in there. This bracket here is always going to be fully welded. So that'll always be fully welded on an original exhaust. A pattern one will either be spot welded, or they could possibly be stitched, so they'll have just a little section of weld. The original one's always fully welded. So if you look for those two things, you look for the vertical seam and you look for the fully welded. Moving on to the indicators, and we'll start with the lenses. If they're the correct lenses, there will be the early light amber colour, obviously made by Emerson. So as you can see, wrote there. The longer stems were on the rears, the short stems were on the front. The only way to tell whether these indicators are genuine Yamaha is to get the cover off. So we'll go and look at that now. So if you can see there with the actual lens removed, you can see the Emerson logo there. And on the opposite side, it basically says Yamaha. So we've got a little part number and the Japan. As I say, you can get these aftermarket pattern, and they'll say Japan Trade T or something to that description. Very, very good copies, early copies. But that's what we're looking for in a genuine indicator. So moving on to the dashboard of the bike and the clock itself, the speedos, no pattern clocks. You're only going to get an original. Obviously, we want to be looking for miles per hour, but that's the look of an original clock. So looking at these bar clamp bolts, so the early SS's, they would have this domed bolt. So that was on the early bikes. As you can see, as they went on through the models up towards the Pops Purple, they changed over to these number 8 bolts. But if you notice, if you get one that's got like a number 8 with a moat around the outside, those are just superseded Yamaha bolts. Moving on to the handlebars. So easiest way to tell is this crossbar. So if they're original and they're early, we've got a size there of 13.61 millimeters. So if you've got thinner bars, they'll be superseded Yamaha or possibly pattern. So we're always looking for that 13.6. So for the switchgear, we need to be looking on the underside. And if it is genuine Yamaha, we'll have those logos just to prove it. So you can see there, it's got the Yamaha, produced and made by Denso. And on the other side there, you can see the Yamaha tuning forks. So those are the genuine grips with the genuine design. So that's exactly what you'd be looking for. Moving on to the wheel rims and the tyres, and we'll go through those now. So the original rims, you'll notice it's got the Araya logo. You're always looking to be, there's your valve, so one spoke hole, and it's always in that next space. So if I can get that in nice and close, you'll see there, that's the Araya logo. So it's got the logo and the size all on one line. That would apply to the early bikes. Later on, they're changed over and they come on to the size going on a line below. But all the Fs1es, all the unrestricted Fs1es from 72 to 77 have all got the logo in that position. So if you've got your rims and you've got the Araya, which is coming round the outside, they're not right for the early bikes. The early bikes, all the unrestricted from 72 to 77, you're always going to be looking for that. There you go. Oh, there's your logo for your original front tyre. So that's a genuine made in Japan front tyre. Inoj, I think you pronounce it. And again, there's the logo for the rear tyre. Again, made in Japan. So if they're genuine tyres, they're going to be made in Japan. Moving on to the front headlight, and the way to tell if we've got a genuine one is we're looking for that little Koto logo just down the bottom there, and then it'll also say made in Japan, so that's a clear indication as to a genuine one. So with the headlight rim itself, this chrome rim, you're looking for about 24 millimeters wide from there to there. The pattern ones tend to be very thin, so for a genuine one, they're about 24 millimeters. Looking at the horns now, so a genuine one, they're made by Nikko. So if I just take you into that, you'll see Nikko, Japan, 6 volt. The Gaiters will always have the 9 ribs. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the other giveaway is you'll always have these 2 holes on the original Gaiters at the bottom. So always look for those. Obviously that spins around to the back, but just to show you, there you go. The original lens there, made by Stanley. So you can see the Stanley logo at the bottom. And also the backlight, again, made by Stanley. So with the original shocks, to tell whether they're pattern or not, if you look at the bottom, you'll see a stamping there, 33A. So if I grab the other shock, you'll see that these are obviously a matching pair. So again, 33A. Moving on to the original pedals and pedal cranks. So here's some that I've set aside. So the pedal cranks will have the distinctive pat pend. There are aftermarket pattern ones that are the same, but they're a lot thicker. So this is like a wider section. They're a little bit cruder. These look a nice finish, exactly as they should be. So that's a new old stock pat pend, and exactly the same with the other pedal crank. Nice and slender, nice finish. Moving on to the pedals. Pedals, you notice they've got the nuts on the inside. They're produced and made by KKT. And if you look on the end, you've got that nice Japan logo at the end there. So the blocks are this design on the faces, and you've got this reflector built in. It'll always be black on this section, and that will always say either a left or a right. So in this case, it's a right. Obviously, being a side ignition, so these early drum brake models with the side ignition. So I'll take a look, I'll show you one of those now. And as you can see, the way we're going to tell with this, so we've got this nice little half moon key, and it's got the Yamaha logo inside there. Now if we take out the key, you'll see that the key's got that number stamped into the side, so that'll be the same on all the keys. The other way to tell with this ignition, you'll have the original number which will match with the key, which is stamped into that part of the ignition there. And then on the back, obviously produced by AD, so there's the little AD logo. And a nice interesting fact for you is this section where the key goes into, that actually glows in the dark. So on a night, you'll see that glowing up. So there you go, nice little interesting fact. So with every intention of covering every aspect of this bike in just the one upload, it's proved to be quite a lot. So I'm going to split this into two parts. So this being part one, and I'm going to do another upload in the next 2 to 3 days of the part two. So look forward to that. In that video, I'll be looking at the front hubs, we'll be looking at the brake plate design, we'll be looking at the front and the rear spokes. I'll go into a lot more detail then and put a lot of focus into all the different parts on the engine, so we can identify the original parts from pattern parts and obviously like correct parts as well on the engine side of things. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy this sort of content. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching.